Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I just want to take a minute to thank you all for your support. You all mean so much to me. Thank you to those of you who bought me a coffee and all the kindnesses I've received. Karen, Johanna, Kathy, my dear friend, Marianne, Cornelia, these ladies have treated me like a queen this month, and I cannot express in words how much their friendship and support had meant to me. Some of the ladies and gents on this channel have carried me through tough times this year, and not just with gifts, but with friendship and support, which often has little to do with the subject matter of this channel. When I'm back teaching, I don't always have the time to answer each email, but I do read them all, and when that becomes too much, I rope my daughter in to read them to me and to star the ones I want to go back and answer personally. Some of the email are serious, some informative, and some so funny that it has me rolling around with laughter. It can change my mood in an instant. So thank you, thank you, thank you. On that note, let me share a joke from one of my subscribers. Have you heard of the new Mandela latte at the Montecito Starbucks? Yes, you can pre-order it, but it takes 27 years for them to make it. I thought that was funny. So, before I continue with today's video, I want to make a correction to the video on Major Jonathan or Johnny Thompson and thank the viewer who sent me the information. And yes, I went to check out the information and she or he is 100% correct. So once again, proof that mainstream media is wrong and did not do their homework, and shame on me for believing them. Major Johnny came to the royal family from Balaclava Company, 5 Scots Royal Regiment. Balaclava Company, 5th Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, is a rifle company of the Royal Regiment of Scotland. Although highly trained, this battalion mostly performs public duties and are based in Edinburgh. The soldiers of Balaclava Regiment are jokingly called the jocks of the Royal Regiment of Scotland, but they were also the ones who were tasked to provide a guard of honor alongside the Royal Company of Archers at the Queen's coffin. As the Queen's coffin was taken to St. Giles's Cathedral in Edinburgh and participated in all the ceremonies to take the coffin from Balmoral until she was transported back to London. It was also from Balaclava Company that the young men carrying the Queen's coffin was chosen. Now that I knew where to go look, I found this article on forces.net dated 18th of April 2019, when for the first time Balaclava took up guard outside Windsor Castle, a year after they took up guard outside Buckingham Palace for the first time. At the time, in April 2019, Major Johnny, as platoon leader, said, "For me, it's my first time, but for a lot of the company, they were here last year. So that's really useful continuity. It's an utter privilege, it really is, for us, for the Royal Regiment of Scotland, to be here in London, kilt outside the key site." Balaclava Company is also the one welcoming the Queen to Balmoral annually. But make no mistake, guys, they are not softies in pretty Scottish dress and are fully trained soldiers who attend military exercises all over the world, like in Kuwait in 2019. So there you have it, guys. Don't always believe what you read in the media because they will get it wrong most of the time, even on nice stories like this one. However, Regardless of this error, now that I was able to look in the right places, it also further confirmed that Major Johnny is one hell of a nice guy who had a lot of respect from his platoon and mates. I've seen stories that he is as strong as an ox, has a good sense of humor, but also a no-nonsense guy, and that you always know where you stand with him. So again, thank you to those who reached out to me to correct this error I made in the previous video. It is only through hearing things from the horse's mouth that we can truly know the truth. And how wonderful when the truth is as good as the fantasy. Okay, guys, so after this long intro, I'm going to give you a few seconds to relax, breathe, or go grab some popcorn before I launch into the rest of our Meghan Ragland roller coaster. Okay, so let's start with the second part of Meghan's fifth episode of her podcast and her eye-watering bullshittery. The first thing Meghan comes up with, which nearly made me pop a vein, was when she said, and that's the connection between crazy and the concept of trust, or perhaps I should say mistrust. Well, I just don't understand exactly what she wanted to illustrate here. But in my opinion, she illustrated the exact opposite of what she meant to. So right back at you, Meghan. We know Meghan lies. She lied as a kid. She lied as an adult. She lied before she met Harry. And she keeps on lying to this very day. Her lies are now becoming legendary because they are often so obvious. We all fib from time to time, either to get ourselves out of trouble or in order not to hurt other people's feelings. We've all said, no, you don't look fat in that dress or those pants, when your brain actually went, you look like the back end of a bus. However, Meghan takes lying to a whole other level. She lies about serious matters. She lies about mundane things. She lies when asked about things. She lies without any provocation. For instance, Oprah did not ask her about the wedding. Meghan piped up and said, let me tell you something nobody knows, and launched into the story of the wedding before the wedding. And I have it from a very, very reliable source that most recently her story about going to a Korean spa with Doria is also a fabrication, totally 100% a lie. There are no rhyme or reason for most of her lies, which means that dear Meg is a habitual liar, has a mental illness, or as she prefers to call it, not us, her. She is batshit crazy. There is no other conclusion to be drawn. So the question is, can you trust batshit crazy? Of course not. So once again, without meaning to, Meghan illustrates how crazy she is and explains to us why no one trusts her. And she brilliantly does so in one single sentence. Absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately for her, in her endeavor to sound clever, she puts her foot into it even deeper, and I quote, as in, it's a huge, real problem when a person's self-awareness is ignored and not trusted. There's actually a term for it, medical gaslighting. No, Megan, it's not called medical gaslighting. It's called here comes a malpractice suit. Or at the very least, ignorance, or maybe even a pharmaceutical racket. But yes, there are many terms and resulting terms, but medical gaslighting is not one of them, unless, of course, you are talking about your best buddy, Dr. Fauci. Anyway, my friends, we are always being accused of being nasty to Meghan, of attributing things to her, misjudging her, misdiagnosing her, and so forth. But when we really listen, we will find that it's not us, but Meghan herself who tells us what she is made of. And this statement is absolutely the clearest I have ever heard her tell. She says self-awareness is ignored or not trusted. Well, self-awareness, according to the Oxford Dictionary, means conscious knowledge of one's own character and feelings. It thus has little to nothing to do with a medical diagnosis. Self-awareness is when you can objectively evaluate yourself, manage your emotions, align your behavior with your values, and understand correctly how others perceive you. It is all about you and your understanding of who you are. It is not, as Megan tries to spin it here, about how others, including doctors, see or perceive you. Yes, there is such a thing as bodily self-awareness, but that pertains to self-image, the way we can distinguish ourselves from the rest of our environment. But that was not what Megan tried to put across here. Okay, so then Megan launches into a short tale of how Dr. Nadine Burke sent her a gift containing bottles of essential oils she made herself, nestled in a box filled with shredded tabloids, because that is all they are good for. Okay, Megan, when did Dr. Burke send you that gift? Oh, yes, I forgot. She said a couple of years ago, like last year for your 40th birthday, perhaps, Megan, after you called her to take part in your 40 by 40 initiative. Okay, that's right, isn't it, Megan? Well, Megan, I do not think that qualifies as a friendship. Does it, Megan? And no, Megan, a box full of shredded paper is not mesh. Mesh is, according to the Oxford Dictionary, material made of a network of wire or thread or to an interlaced structure. Anyway, Dr. Burke finally gets to talk and does not mention the gift at all. So maybe she just ignored it because it did not happen and she did not want to embarrass Meghan. Who knows? Then Meghan name drops again and tells the story of Serena Williams's medical issues after giving birth to her daughter, which I think was private and not hers to tell. But anyway, okay. And now by now, you all know about the next bombshell Megsy dropped, but let's talk about it anyway, because I see it differently, I interpret it differently. I did some homework, I asked some questions for other people's input. So I think it is relatively important that we discuss it, regardless of the fact that you have heard this somewhere else before. Okay, so speaking to Deepika Pudukani, I can't say her surname, so let's just call her Deepika, about her bouts of depression, Meghan states, yeah, and you look, found the courage to get the help you needed, to get the help that works for you. I mean, I think at my worst point, being finally connected to someone that, my husband had found a referral for me to call, and I called this woman. She didn't know I was even calling her. And Deepika goes, what? And quite frankly, my dears, I would likely have reacted the same way. Do you want to see a manifestation of nuts, or then, as Megan calls it, crazy? Well, here it is. The very first words are what is called twaddle, gibberish, poppycock, and hogwash, and many others, okay? You choose which word you prefer. But listen again. Yeah, and you look, 6 words, and taking about 6 seconds, and it said absolutely nothing. Yeah, and you look. So what does it tell us? It tells us Megan was running a search through her brain for a story to tell. Was it a true story? An authentic story? My guess is no. Because listen to the rest of what she is saying. I mean, I think these gibberish, poppycock, balderdash, meaningless interjections is what gives someone the opportunity to load that cockroach back onto his cork and allow him to rove through the brain in search of appropriate words or stories. It gives one that second or two to compose yourself, to get the story straight. And of course, if the story was the truth, there would not have been any need for that. There would be instant recall and it would come tumbling out. There would be no need to try overly hard to convince anyone that it was indeed true by adding, not in an instance like this. No, Deepika did not know, and she does not know. So you have to tell her that she has to know. And then I called this woman. Who? Who did she call? Why not say, I called this woman Dr. XYZ? Because she can't? Then, even worse, she didn't know I was even calling her. Again, poppycock, balderdash, hogwash, unnecessary words saying nothing. Okay, so this woman did not expect you to call. Well, unless we schedule a call with someone, none of us know when someone is going to call us unless we are psychic. If you haven't called the person before and they don't have your number, your name will also not pop up when the phone or the cell phone rings. Or did Megan mean that this woman did not know who she was when she said, hi, this is Megan? Well, if someone should call me and say, hi, this is Megan, I also won't know, as I know 3 people with the name Megan, none of whom I speak to regularly. So if I should receive a call from a Megan, I would likely also go, who or which Megan? The magistrates daughter, Meghan, Meghan who lives out on a farm, or Meghan from the doctor's office in our neighboring town. Anyway, regardless of her speech, all of us remember Meghan's story about going to HR to seek help, how no one would help her. And we all heard how Harry told Oprah that he was too embarrassed to seek help for his wife. So, which is it? Did he seek help for his wife? Got her a referral? Or did he not? So, my dear friends, I'm going to leave this right here for now. But again, in just this one podcast, we experienced Meghan adapting and changing stories to suit her narrative, to make herself relevant and attempt to fit in with the theme. And it is more than just recollections may vary. This is consciously lying. It is the bold expression of a disturbed mind. Pathological lying is a symptom of a variety of conditions, such as antisocial, narcissistic, histrionic personality disorders, or even things like borderline personality disorder. And no, it is not me saying so, but many, many mental health professionals with many years of experience between them. There is no cure for it, none. There is no real treatment for it. All anyone can do is to be aware of it. And if such a person is in your orbit and their lives are harmful to you and threatens your mental or physical well-being, the best you can do is to put distance between you. Okay, my dear friends, we'll continue with our chats in the coming week. I trust you will all have a wonderful weekend or whatever is left of it. So until we meet again on the next one, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.